Tension fills the control room and everyone is holding their breath. The five-star general, the overlord Andrew Carter, is directing a critical mission. His assistant rushes in with his phone. He has an urgent call. He takes the phone with an annoyed huff and places it over his ear. His heart stops as soon as the little sobs enter his ear. "Hello, Dad? Is this my daddy? Please come and save me. I hate it here." Andrew pulls his ear away from the phone. Is this a prank call? Why is a preschooler calling him? Where did she even get his number from? "Young lady, you have got the wrong number," he says without emotion. He is about to end the call, but the little girl cries even more. "No, this is not a wrong number. The name of my father is Andrew Carter and my name is Uma Carter," she screams. "You married my mummy. She said that you love both of us." Andrew feels everything come to a standstill. This is not a prank. His gut is telling this to him. A sharp yelp sounds from the other end and it follows with a thud, like the little girl has been slammed into the wall. "You little demon! How dare you steal from me?" the strange man asks. "I wasn't watching and you stole my phone? Forgive me, please. Don't beat me," the girl begs. The call ends, and when Andrew tries to call back, the other phone has been turned off. Everyone is waiting for him. The soldiers are waiting for his final command to annihilate the enemies. "Overlord, sir, the enemies want to surrender," one of the captains says. "They didn't know it's your mission, sir. It's too late for that. Kill every one of them," Andrew orders. He walks out of the control room, and his faithful assistant, Tina, is right by his side. "Get the jet ready. We are heading to New York immediately." It was 5 years ago. His family was running from some evil people, but they were pursued into an accident. He didn't die in the burning car. He was pulled out of it by a brave young lady. He decided to marry the lady to prove his appreciation, but he didn't know that she belonged to the famous Sanchez family. But only a day after the marriage, he decided to join the army and he rose to become a 5-star general, the feared overlord. Now he has just learned that he may have a child and that his wife and daughter will need his help. He will show up at a place that holds so many bad memories. Andrew tracked the phone call and it has brought him to the gates of a marble-walled house. The guard's eyes twinkle as soon as he sees Andrew. Isn't that the useless son-in-law that disappeared years ago? His colleagues join him as Andrew draws closer. Everyone knows him. The poor boy who got married to Mr. Sanchez's granddaughter. Andrew doesn't mind them. He tries to walk through the gates, but he is halted. "You can't go in there, young man," one says. "Do you think you can just walk in after disappearing for 5 years?" Andrew is so not in the mood for this. He grabs both arms of the guards and twists them till they are rolling with pain on the ground. He lets go of one, but he twists the arm of the other even further. "Arg! My arm!" he cries. "A little girl called Uma Carter. Where is she?" Andrew calmly asks. "You mean your daughter?" The man squeaks his face. "She has been sold." "Sold? What the hell is going on?" Andrew frowns as he releases the man. The man runs to the wall, pressing himself against it. His colleague has run away. "Sold to who? By who? Speak!" Andrew fires. "By Miss Sanchez. Your daughter was sold to a man called the Badger. She is on the seashore." Andrew is greatly confused about what is even happening. Her mother sold her? That's not the woman that he married. That's all Andrew needs to know. He turns around and leaves the same way he has come. The guard is holding on to his smarting arm. Surely this is not the same useless man that got married to Miss Sanchez. Something has changed about him. Meanwhile, Andrew gets to the other side of town very quickly. That's what happens when you are the overlord. He gets to the seashore and he finds the old storage building that was formerly a shed used to fix boats. Since it's such an old place, no one really comes to this side of town, or this far away from the shore. As soon as Andrew enters, he hears the different sounds of animals. The place is like a mini zoo. He walks deeper till he hears the whistling of a man and the throwing of a butcher knife. The closer he gets, the clearer the image gets to him. There is a tattoo-covered 7-foot man, with a butcher's apron around his neck. The apron is dirty with blood, and the man is about to cut a small child open on the bloody table. his child. Uma Carter. Author's note. Hey guys, are you enjoying this story? Please don't forget to add to your library and leave your comments. Andrew feels as bile rises in his chest. Is that his daughter lying unconscious on the table? The whistling man turns around and smiles at Andrew. Mate, what are you doing here? The shore is that way, you know? The man points. When he sees that Andrew doesn't move, he stops whistling and faces him squarely. Or are you here to buy a body part? He asks. The heart has been sold out to the badger. You can have the kidneys though. The fact that this man is offering Andrew his young daughter's body's part makes him boil with anger. The man immediately freezes as he sees the anger on Andrew's face. He figures out the relationship between Andrew and the helpless girl really quickly. Is this your child, mate? He laughs. Sorry, but she's been sold. The badger will be super mad if I don't get a heart to him by twilight. Maybe your heart will do just fine, Angus says. I will make sure to put it in a good box for your boss, the badger. The man laughs and whistles very loudly. 10 men immediately walk into the room, holding machetes in their hands. Andrew sighs under his breath. He doesn't want to ruin his Tom Ford suit. But it's a small price to pay for his child. He catches the men one after the other, throwing them like rage dolls. They grunt in pain. He takes the machete and severs the head of the last one, staining his suit with a splatter of blood. The butcher is horrified. He tries to use his knife as a weapon, but Andrew easily takes it out of his hand and slashes his thigh with him. The man falls on his knee. Andrew grabs him by his shirt and pulls him back to his feet. The man is trembling like a fish, begging for Andrew to spare his life. Don't kill me, please. You can take your child. I will find a replacement, he pleads. Andrew is not moved by his plea at all. Instead, he questions. Who sent you to kidnap my child? I didn't kidnap her. She was sold to the badger by her mother. I only had the contract to take out her heart. The badger's daughter is sick. She needs an immediate implant. Andrew's brows furrow as his frown deepens. How can the mother of his child sell her to some miscreants? It doesn't even make sense at all. The man tries to free himself, but to his surprise, Andrew's grasp is as firm as steel. This is for trying to hurt my child. Andrew grunts. He hoists the man into the air and sends him crashing into the huge tank that contains about 5 sharks. His painful screams fill the air as the carnivores tear him apart, leaving the water red and his mangled body parts floating in the tank. Andrew immediately takes off his jacket and puts it around his child. He lifts her into the air and sighs with relief as soon as he feels her gentle breath against his face. Her eyes flicker to reveal the bluest eyes in the world. They are exactly like his mother's. This is truly his child. Daddy, she manages to say. Are you my daddy? Did you come to save me? Yes, my child. You are safe now. He kisses her forehead. Tears swell in the eyes of the little girl. She has never seen her father since he left the night that she was conceived. Even though she is only 5, she has been through a lot of troubles in her life. She lived in the basement of her mother's family's mansion, but she was sold because she started to become rebellious to her captors. She hugs her father as she cries. She never thought that this day would come in her life.
Eve always had nightmares, Papa.
She sniffles. And Mummy's workers. They beat me and lock me up. Hey, sweetie. He pushes her hair away from her face. Your mummy? She was the one who did this to you. This is beyond Andrew because the woman who saved him from the fire, she was the sweetest girl he has ever met. How could she turn around and be so cruel to her child? Was she pretending all along? His daughter, Uma. Her small hands wipes her eyes dry as she stops crying to answer her father. Auntie Adriana is the one who locked me up. She beat me and forced me to call her mummy. She was the one who sold me, she says. My real mummy. She has been forced to work in the Red Men's Club. She was the one who taught me your name, your number, and she told me that you will come to save us. Andrew is so baffled that he lets out a chuckle. He had no idea that the Sanchez family was this crazy. But also, he is greatly impressed by how intelligent his 5-year-old daughter is. Uma touches her father's face. He immediately feels the anger lessen in him. Ruby, she says. My mother's name is Ruby Sanchez. Angus feels his fist stiffen. He has to rescue her immediately. Andrew remembers the gutting feeling he had when he realized that his family was dead in that burning car. The dejection, the hopelessness, the grief. He is not going to allow that kind of situation to befall his daughter. He is going to get her mother out of whatever situation her fucked-up family has gotten her into, and he is going to get his revenge. He goes back to the house and he meets the gate heavily guarded. They probably heard what he did to the 2 guards, and about 20 men are standing, trying to stop him from entering. Their eyes widen as they see him. Some of them knew him as the useless son-in-law, but he was new to some. It's you, Andrew Carter, son-in-law to the Sanchez family. One of the guards says, "You are not allowed in here, by the order of Miss Sanchez." Andrew doesn't even bat an eye at them. He lowers his daughter gently to her feet. His jacket is still around her. "Close your eyes, darling, and count to 20. She is very obedient. She squeezes her eyes very tightly and counts till she gets to the number 20. When she is done, she opens her eyes to see all the men on the ground, growing and wriggling in pain. Not a crease has appeared on her father's shirt. He winks at her as he picks her up again. They walk over the bodies and into the house. It's a beautiful 3-story building, and the white building is surrounded by expensive cars. This is where Adriana lived, and this is where she put Uma in the basement like a slave. Andrew walks deeper into the luxurious compound. There are over 5 expensive cars. He hears giggles and laughter coming from the swimming pool. That's where he heads to. He finds 2 people in the pool, almost naked, and they are being very naughty in the pool. Andrew is disgusted by what he sees, and he throws spit on the ground. It's Adriana Sanchez and Jasper Banks, her fiancé. They are making out in the corner of the pool, lost in each other. "How long before we get married, Adriana?" Jasper asks her. "Not too long, my love." She smiles as she runs her finger through his hair. "I just have a little thing to do before it's finalized." Andrew clears his throat and the startled couple turns to look at him. The lady sneers as soon as she sees him. "Isn't that Andrew Carter? I thought the gatemen were drunk when they said they saw you," she says. "I ordered for my gate to be heavily guarded. I wonder how you went through my boys." "Get dressed immediately," he says to both of them. "Don't be indecent in front of my young daughter." The man laughs as he steps out of the pool. He is Jasper Banks, the only child of J.P. Banks, one of the richest men in the country. Adriana steps out of the pool. Her body is glistening as she wraps a towel around herself. Her hair is a sparkling red, and her eyes are piercing brown. She has the same color of hair and eyes as Ruby, but they are worlds apart in character. As soon as Uma sees her, she shivers with fear and presses herself against her father. This just shows how much she is scared of her wicked aunt. Adriana laughs at the little girl. "I see that you and your wretched child have found each other." She points. "She is definitely your spawn. Nothing good has come out of both of you, and you two are extremely hard to get rid of. You will speak only when I ask you to, lady." He warns her. "Now, where is my wife?" She laughs as she stands in front of him. "Oh, she is standing right in your face." Her smirk causes Andrew's brows to curve with vex and confusion. What's she talking about? Seeing that she has slapped him right in the face with surprise, she smirks and gets even closer. "Don't tell me that you don't remember the events of that fateful day we got married. You thought I was Ruby? How foolish of you. You were too drunk to notice that she wasn't the one, but I at the altar." Truly, the events of that day come before him in a flash. He was drunk, yes. He noticed that his bride was veiled throughout the ceremony. And he was still drinking after the wedding. He was trying to numb the pain of losing his family. And that's when he heard some members of the Sanchez family saying that he was a useless man. He didn't have any money like they thought. That's when he decided that he was going to leave. He staggered to his hotel room, but he ended up in the wrong room. Little did he know that that was the room where Ruby was locked up to hide her from him. She was crying bitterly, but she couldn't utter a word. They had sex and he left before the morning came and she was awake. But he was gone. Everything is slowly coming together for Andrew. His throat gets filled up with bile as he realizes how the Sanchez family had robbed him of his true bride, the love of his life. Adriana's heart gladdens when she sees his face turn as red as a tomato. She mistakes it for panic. I know that your greatest achievement was to marry into this family, but our marriage is going to end soon. You are useless to me, you have no money, and it seems you can't give my grandfather an heir as he wants a great-grandson, not a great-granddaughter. She says, I will serve you with divorce and you will be thrown into the street with your stupid child and her mute mother. Jasper comes and slips his hands around Adriana's waist. And she will become my wife. Thank God you are here now. She shouldn't suffer for mistakenly marrying a church rat like you. Andrew sighs and looks at the ground. He wants to kill these two right here, but his daughter is innocently standing behind him. Okay, this is what's going to happen. He sighs. You are going to tell me where Ruby is. Oh, go fuck yourself. She tells him. Ruby owes me a lot of money, and until I have pimped her out to enough men, you won't know where she is. Adriana has no idea how impatient Andrew can be. Before she knows what has happened, Andrew has given her a resounding slap. It's such a hard smack that she feels blood in her mouth. She holds her face in disbelief. Did this poor man just lay his fingers on her? Wrong answer. He adjusts the cuffs of his shirt. Where is Ruby? And I'm asking for an address. Jasper is perplexed that Andrew has just slapped his woman. He rushes at Andrew, wanting to defend Adriana's honor. Do you have a death wish, Andrew Carter? He tries to punch Andrew, but Andrew grabs his arm and gives it a sharp twist till Jasper screams in pain. Never throw a weak punch. Andrew clicks his tongue with a chuckle. Who the fuck taught you how to fight like this? Your father. He twists further till everyone hears the clear cracking of his bone. Jasper shouts out in raw pain, and Andrew pushes him away. Adriana's eyes open in horror and she tries to run away, but Andrew grabs her by the neck. She gulps air as he slightly squeezes her throat. Don't test me because I will kill you. He warns her. Where is she? Adriana starts to cough. She is turning blue. He is slowly killing her, but even if she wants to tell him anything, she can't. Andrew is just a second away from snapping her neck, but he then feels a gentle tuck on his trousers. He turns around and sees his daughter behind him. Mummy is in the Red Men's Club, she innocently says. She works there every day. Andrew turns to his daughter. Is that so, baby? Yes, Daddy, she affirms. He smiles at his child. He turns to Adriana with his eyes red with fire. You should thank my daughter. She is the only reason why I am letting you go. He frees Adriana and she falls to the ground, gasping for air. Jasper is in serious pain. He is just a few steps away from her. Andrew doesn't give them a second look. He takes the hand of his daughter and they both leave the compound. The Red Men's Club is a happening place in New York. It's a place where men come to be away from the crippling mental stress it takes to run their multi-million businesses, their nagging wives, and their over-demanding children. Here they drink, gamble, patronize prostitutes, and go back home in the wee hours of the morning with glees of satisfaction. The atmosphere of the club is tense, bundles of money, bottles of expensive wines, bras, and ashtrays are on the table. In a corner is seated a beautiful violinist. Her red hair covers half of her face, but her beautiful eyes shine through her hair. She looks like a work of art, and the melody coming from her violin makes the atmosphere a little bit calmer. Her name is Ruby Sanchez, granddaughter of the wealthy William Sanchez. Violin was just a hobby to her, but it's now a means of survival for her since her extended family kicked her and her parents out of the family and sacked all of them. She used to be an economist, an architect, and an interior designer, but no one would hire her because she is now mute. That doesn't stop her from playing her instrument so well. She plays from her soul, and it draws the attention of some of the men. One of them is Dan McKay. He is a dangerous man that everyone avoids because he is rich and does whatever he wants. He is holding his cigarette as he watches Ruby play the violin. He has been staring at her for minutes now. His friend notices that he won't stop staring at her. So he says, "She's beautiful, isn't she? Look at those innocent eyes." Dan scoffs as he blows out smoke. I wonder why such a beautiful lady is wasting away in a clubhouse, playing guitar. She used to be a manager in one of her grandfather's companies, but words out there say that he threw her and her parents out. His friend says, they are now poor. She now has to do this for money. Dan drops his cigarette into a tray as he licks his lips. He wants Ruby Sanchez, but everyone knows that she has a bad attitude. For men have tried to touch her while she played, but she has bitten each of them like a mad dog. No one has gone close to her since then, but Dan knows exactly what to do. He whistles at her and beckons to her with his finger. She smiles, like she has been taught to do, and walks towards him. She waves at them and takes out a book and pen from her pocket. Since she can't speak, she has to write down words to communicate. Hello, sirs. Do you have a special song that you would like me to play for you? She shows them the writing. No, unfortunately, Ruby, but there is something else I want from you. Dan licks his lips as he stares at her. Ruby is very beautiful. She has humongous breasts on her chest and her buttocks are a sizable portion. Dan puts his hand on her thigh and runs it up and down. The smile on Ruby's face dries up immediately. She tries to push her hand away, but Dan grabs it roughly and pulls her face to him. Hey, don't be rude, sweetheart. You might be very beautiful, but I'm not patient with stubborn girls. He warns. She bites down her lips and tries to free herself from his grip, but he is just too strong. He tightens his grip around her, just to show her that he is just as stubborn as she is. Also, he won't back off like other men did. This is what is going to happen, Ruby. He tells her. You are going to go down on your knees and give me the best blow job that I've ever had. If you try to be stubborn, I'm going to strip you naked and force myself on you in front of everyone here. And that's not all. I will kill your parents and your little girl. Ruby's eyes immediately moisten. Dan knows exactly what he is doing. He is using her family to threaten her. She can't say no. She knows that he means every word of it. Dan's friend feels a little bit sorry for her, so he tries to intervene. Just leave her, McKay. She is just a kid. Besides, she is mute. How good can she be? Dan McKay is not fazed. He is busy staring at Ruby with intense lust. I happen to think that she is perfect. She is exactly how I like my women. Tall, pretty, and not speaking a word. Ruby is in tears. She doesn't want to do this, but she doesn't want anyone to hurt her daughter or her old parents. So, when he pushes her down to her knees, she doesn't even try to fight him. Everyone is staring at them now. No one has ever seen Ruby give in to a man. Go on, Ruby, Dan says with pride. Everyone wants to see you. Ruby sniffles as she starts to unbuckle his pants. I believe the lady said no. Everyone turns around to see who the intruder